To the Xfinity Hearthstone Invitational, our next match of the day is Forsen versus Dog. Team Forsen boys versus CompLexity, and another great performance out of both of these guys in the round of 16, but one of them has to lose. Now, my bracket has gotten destroyed, Monk. I guessed incorrectly a long time ago, but one constant remains. I predicted Dog to go all the way.
Yeah, I also predicted Dog to go very far, and unfortunately I predicted Orange to beat his fellow countryman Forsen, but it was not to be. Next game we have Forsen versus Dog, and both are going to be playing Druid, Hunter, and Mage, the three most common decks that we've seen in the tournament. So these are going to be kind of more vanilla matches, but they'll still be pretty exciting.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be like a really good game because I think Dog has yet to have like a true win in a tournament, like with a significant prize pool. He's always gotten like second or pretty close to it. And then Forsen, I mean, he just has to prove his haters wrong, man. Like everyone keeps doubting Forsen, man. People keep saying like, oh yeah, he's more of a popular figure. He's not really known, but people forget that once upon a time he held EU, or he finished EU and NA #1 legend.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Like,
it's absurd. That's like Calento level.
That's like
6-0 level.
That's like 6-0 level if he finished both seasons #1, or
right.
all three seasons, or all three servers #1.
Right. Absolutely one of the best players if he's giving it his all. Now, of course, we do know Forsen's playing a lot. He's streaming a lot, partying a lot, doing all kinds of Forsen things a lot. How focused is he on day #2? We have the exact same lineups: Druid, Mage, and Hunter. So I guess we're in for some mirror matches, man.
Yeah. In fact, our first match is going to be a mirror match. It's going to be Mech Mage versus Mech Mage.
Definitely we know it's Mage, right? Mech Mage?
Yeah, we know both players are playing Mech Mage.
Mech Mage versus Mech Mage actually is surprisingly good.
Forsen might be playing Tempo Mage, right?
It could be.
I think he was, actually.
No one was playing Freeze Mage, I think.
Yeah. It's just... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Mech Mage versus Mech Mage is surprisingly a fun matchup, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Assuming one player doesn't just completely blow out the other with Mech Warper, but there's a lot of like small trades and spare part RNG that makes it pretty exciting sometimes to fight back for board.
We saw yesterday, actually, Dog versus Nadia. It became just a board control fight.
Pretty cool.
No one actually did any damage in the beginning of the game, and they just began trading boards.
Well, actually, Nadia was hitting the face.
Yes.
She squeezed in damage. And if she didn't squeeze in that damage, she actually would have not even gotten close to killing Dog.
But I feel like she would have gotten slightly better in board
on the
control.
Board, right?
Yeah, it happened in the end, like where both players had just like the fireballs and some frostbolts, but there was no board from either player until one player top deck like a Dr. Boom.
If she won, is she correct, or do you think overall it's still not right to do that? It's still more about the board. What do you think?
I feel like just my style of play in general, I like to go for more board control centric. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you get board control, you can fit in the damage in later turns, for example. And at that point of the game, I felt like maybe it wasn't like really...
It's too early?
Yeah, maybe a bit too early.
All right, well, it is Tempo Mage. We saw the Emperor in there. Really good to get that mana reduction. Dog has the Mech Warper, and that is scary.
Yeah, speaking of the Emperor, if you're confused about how to pronounce his name, just know that it rhymes with Forsen.
Really?
Yeah, Emperor Thorsen. Right? That's
Emperor
cute, right?
Forsen?
Emperor Forsen. That should be I'll tell Forsen to make an emote based off of that.
Probably. That's almost too perfect, if you ask me.
I've been trying to convince him for the longest time, and in combination with Savitz, to make a Forsen Nature Savitz Roar combo.
Doesn't he have it?
Does he?
Yeah,
I don't think he does.
He does. He has Savitz Roar, and it's like...
But Forsen doesn't have Forsen Nature, right?
Oh, Forsen Nature.
That'd be great.
Oh my God.
Again, every match, that would come up sometime.
Oh, man.
All right.
No one's making something from my name yet.
Aw.
There's no card yet that does it. Nah, don't even worry about it.
Okay.
Mech Warper still hasn't picked up Clockwork Gnome, but because he has a coin, there's a lot of cards that can come out this turn.
In fact, total of 3 cards. And we see once again, the Karantor Mage came down on 3, but no secret came along with it.
Right.
I'm just waiting for that Flame Walker. Sorry, Flame Waker, because Walker is ridiculous, right?
Absolutely. Now, even though these mechs went down, Goblin Blast Mage still can make a big impact I want to say it's 50-50, but I feel like the odds don't make it so.
No, it's about like 60 something. Someone did the odds, and it's closer to it's between 60 and 70, and to kill a 2 HP minion. So yeah, very favorable
Why
to
is that?
kill that.
50-50. 50-50. Oh, yeah, because of the branch of probabilities.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, well, there's another way for him to stack the board even more. Now, if Forsen gets some of his late game AoE cards, his Flame Strikes, then might be in a decent spot, but this Mech Mage has some powerful turns.
Yeah, the key card of Mech Mage, I feel, is that Goblin Blast Mage. It's what makes Mech Mage, and not some other class. Like other classes, they have the Power Mace or perhaps the Anodized Robocub as their mech synergies. But just this Goblin Blast Mage is so much more powerful than any other mech synergy in the entire game. And we see Dog has both of them, so he looks to be a favorable position just because he has drawn both these high value cards.
All right, well, Forsen going to try and seize back Frostbolt just to gain back a little bit of board tempo, as well as threaten to just ping that off next turn. And now Forsen has, Dog has interesting outcomes that can come out from this Blast Mage. He could kill off the Pilot Shredder, evaluate what comes out first, and then use Blast Mage. But I definitely think Blast Mage should come down on this turn somehow. I suppose, actually, any outcome that comes out of this Blast Mage.
Oh, perfect. And yet again, perfect.
Oh, Forsen's crushed. Now, of course, if Forsen just gets Flame Strike, everything's all good in the hood, bro.
But does he even play it? Like
No,
we said,
he does
some
not.
players don't actually play Flame Strike in their decks.
Yep. He's going to have to ping off this Goblin Blast Mage as well. His opponent still has 10 damage on board, so a single fireball ends the game. You know, he's had Kazan Mystic, too, to try to have high impact, specifically for matchups like this. But he doesn't even have it.
Yeah, just a bit unlucky for Forsen. The Dog picked up his high-value Blast Mages, but no Secrets or Mad Scientist.
Time Rewinder. That is interesting. I like all face here.
Yeah.
I even like pinging so Frostbolt becomes lethal. So does Forsen run that Flame Strike?
No. We don't know yet, but certainly he hasn't drawn into it. It's not so lucky one, this Forsen.
Nope. Looks like he's done with this game. Mech Mage just ran him over, and Dog is brutal. You know, Dog, the last tournament I cast of him, he was trying a little bit too fancy stuff. He was going Miracle Rogue, old school with Violet Teachers and Cold Bloods with the Emperor, and it didn't work out for him. So this time around, he's like, you know what? He's going to go for the tried and true. I'm going to play Mech Mage, I'm going to play Hunter, and I'm going to play Druid.
Yeah, pretty much the
I think he's just tired of losing.
pretty much the try-hard
The
lineup
try-hard lineup.
that you can bring to this tournament. And it not only is the
Agreed.
try-hard lineup, it's the most common lineup that we see. Mech Mage, Hunter, and Druid are the most common decks we've seen by all 16 players.
Yeah, it's the I don't want any fans lineup. if you ask me. But you know what? He's also playing really well. I know Dog fans might be a little bit upset by just making that comment. You know, Dog I think is actually a really great innovator, and you have to mix it up. If you keep bringing like really weird stuff all the time, then you also become predictable in a way. It's like I know he won't bring this type of deck because he just avoids it. Sometimes you just have to bring the face hunters to prove that you can play it and that make people afraid of you.
Yeah, all credit where credit is due. I don't think Dog ever plays face hunter, and
he detests it. He plays ramp druid. Like, well, that's like everything about his personality you need to know. He hates Hunter's Mark. He hates steady shot. Hates kill commands.
Yeah, so this might be just this one time where he deems it really necessary to play Hunter, or just to throw his competition off for future tournaments. Like we said before, just planning ahead for 3 or 4 tournaments ahead, essentially.
Sounds good. Now, interestingly enough, Forsen's in Europe and Dog's in Texas, but it looks like it's later in the day for Dog than it is for Forsen. But it's just like 2 p.m. or something in Texas right now.
I feel like Forsen's room usually looks like that though.
Yeah, that's true. At all points of the day, whether morning or night.
It probably closes his windows and shades.
I still laugh when Forsen sometimes when it gets really late and just everything turns red, like it's some kind of photography room. They're trying to develop old pictures.
Begin.
Here we go, game number 2, I believe. This is Hunter versus the Mech Mage, or sorry, Tempo Mage. Forsen will need some help to stabilize against the board, and those secrets won't do it. Instead, he gets reasonable 2-drop, but everything else after that's weak. In the meanwhile, Dog has a pretty good curve.
Yep. Oh, fortunate for Forsen, he has to pass turn 1. And if Knife Juggler comes down, or even the Haunted Creeper comes down, there's really no response for Dog except for Forsen, except throwing down a poor Mad Scientist.
Yeah, I agree with Forsen. Even though you feel like you really want to play the Mad Scientist, you just need to respect the fact that you have nothing to follow it up upon. Mad Scientist is still going to have to wait because you have to address what's on the board. That Fire Blast effectively gives you 2 health, so it's like the Priest hero power.
Yeah, that being said, do you think Forsen could have considered coining out the Mad Scientist because he knew he could ping on turn 2? Right? He could definitely have pinged the Worgen Infiltrator. That's a possibility. Now, like, his turn 3 is looking really awkward as well.
That is really awkward, and he's going to take so much damage. He drew both of his secrets as well. I think Forsen looked mentally defeated, man, because he drew both of his secrets, even though he passed at Mad Scientist. Maybe Hearthstone's punishing him for it, saying like, maybe you should have played Mad Scientist. But I definitely see his point of view. He might have needed that coin for a better turn. Maybe he needed it for the Sludge Belcher.
Unfortunately, at this point, Forsen has played just 1 card, the Counterspell, which had 0 impact.
There it is, the Mana Worm that he was looking for.
About 5 turns too late.
And if Dog simply draws the Iron Beak Owl, that is game. He's already pretty close to killing him anyways. Leper Gnome is something to play. So you toss in the spiders, and you shoot twice to the face. It's a little awkward, so maybe Leper Gnome can fix that. There it is. And then now you can play the Explosive Trap and Hero Power. Everything fits in nice, and everything is awesome for Team Dog.
Get those Franker Z's going, because I feel like Dog is almost certainly going to win.
I forgot about Counterspell. Yeah, you're right.
Sure. Counterspell, the thing is, Counterspell, it trades a 3-mana trap for a 2-mana trap, so that's not even very good at all. Forsen draws pretty dead right now, and Dog takes game 2. Very quick series so far.
Forsen is so salty right now, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what's going on through his head this very second, Monk?
I hate Hunters.
It's definitely not PG-13.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right. The things that he wants to say. And now Dog is up 2-0. He has to play Druid against this lineup, which is pretty effective. And if Dog wins this, then he goes on to play...
RDU.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
You're
true.
right. And then the winner of the other series, Trump versus Lothar, plays the winner of Show versus Tide to Time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Dog is up 2-0, and he's left with his Druid, and I really don't think that Dog can lose 3 games in a row with Druid. Druid is Dog's forte. It's the deck that he kind of innovates the most out of anyone, and
but it's still mid-range Druid, I think. People don't really play ramp Druid, Monk, anymore. Why is that?
I just feel like it has a hard time closing out games. You give your opponents a lot of opportunities to come back in the game. For example, against Handlock, which is a class that is becoming more popular lately with the advent of Strife Crow Demon Lock. Against Handlock, you can, with mid-range Hunter, or rather with mid-range Druid, you can combo your opponent out of the game. But with Ramp Druid, it's very hard to win. It's very hard to play around Molten Giants, and you basically just have to try to fatigue your opponent out without any combos in your deck.
Sounds good to me. 3 different decks, 3 games with Tempo Mage. Is Forsen out? I mean, it looks like he's going to need some help here. But then again, I feel like Forsen's also had some rough hands to start.
That's true.
Dealing with 2 decks that are really aggressive and not having that counter to them.
Yeah, especially that last game. That was just brutal.
I mean, that's one of the criticisms against Tempo Mage. Its consistency is not as strong as Mech Mage.
Hmm.
But of course, the scaling of Tempo Mage is actually insane sometimes.
Oh, Flame Cannon. That's
Flame
going to be a
Cannon is
great card.
awesome against Shade of Naxxramas. You know what? Innervate Shade. Go for it. Flame Cannon will shut you down.
Wild Growth Shade is also a possibility. Does Forsen have the insight to keep this Flame Cannon in his opening hand, or is he looking for more like lower drops like Mana Worm and
Well,
Sorcerer's
I
Apprentice?
toss back the Frostbolt. I'd keep Flame Cannon because it's really effective early on. Ah, okay, he throws it away. But you know what? I don't blame him. He definitely needs a quicker start. Okay, you know what? That's justice
Yeah.
right there.
Forsen looked into the future and he saw, okay, I'm going to draw one Flame Cannon anyway. I don't want to draw a second one.
Doesn't want two Flame Cannons, which is interesting enough because it would be
Yeah.
great against his hand.
Yeah, everything's 4 health or lower.
I wonder if he's just going to draw a second Flame Cannon soon.
Ooh. That's
Arcane Nullifier.
It's very good. Or it's above average at least.
This play is pretty good too, to Arcane Nullifier and Flame Cannon. Although I can feel the sense the need to use Mana Worm, so that way you get the buff. And then you can squeeze an Arcane Nullifier some other time. 2-3 instead of a 2-5.
Yeah,
Absolutely reasonable.
It also represents potentially more power on the board next turn.
True. True that. Well, all you have is Keeper. Can't even Savage Roar down this Mana Worm.
Savage Roaring down a Mana Worm.
Would you Moonfire the one Mana Worm? Would you silence it?
I kind of like Science a little better here. Because like
Right.
it can potentially just revenge kill the Keeper of the Grove if you don't silence it.
Yeah, I think so too. It becomes a 1-3. It's much less challenging. And that's great news considering you have Sylvanas in hand.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there you go. Arcane Nullifier is also... Oh, they changed the art.
Yeah,
Well,
they changed all the art of all the cards that
looks like he's
are
swimming.
spell immune. Yeah.
He looks like he's swimming in a bunch of gross swamp stuff.
Oh,
Oh, man.
It looks like he's in a pool to me. Like not a pool, but like a tank, a fish tank.
Mm.
But yeah, Doctor Balance comes out on turn 4.
No, Forsen. No, he's okay. But he puts the Pilot Shredder in the right, but it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter at all because he's going to push through this Arcane Nullifier. And now, because Druid got that Innervate Dr. Boob, the tempo is so firmly in the favor of the Druid.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if this deck runs BGH. I don't believe I've seen it yet drawn from Forsen. And yeah, this is
Okay, Boombot hits pretty well. I think the Boombots will Death Rattle first, so it can't hit whatever comes out.
oh, annoying Tron. That is certainly annoying.
Yeah, it's not bad. Especially if you play your own Sylvanas to try and challenge the board. Actually, that's really good.
Now, Forsen, he can't execute his own Sylvanas, but... Or sorry, Dog can't execute his
Oh,
own
he can do the
Sylvanas.
play. He can
But
do
yeah.
Savage Roar and Big Game Hunter.
That is...
And steal your opponent's Sylvanas.
Yeah, I saw this recently on 6 Stream and also on Reddit. This is going to be pretty cool.
That is awesome. So you attack this Sylvanas trade, and oh my goodness!
What a play.
As if Savage Roar wasn't good enough. The synergy with BGHing, and I think Forsen might be staring his last couple of turns here. Although Frostbolt and Fireball does stall.
Yeah. It does stall, and Dog is kind of running out of cards, so if he stalls just for a tiny bit longer, he might be able to come back in this game. That being said, there is an Azure Drake in Dog's hand, so he might be able to refill his hand pretty quickly.
Wow. I think Dog is kind of a little bit embarrassed about how much this is a steamroll. These are 3 games. I mean, this is 3 games which might last legitimately like less time than an actual Control Warrior game. People always joke about Control Warrior taking forever, but like honestly, it's like usually like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This series has been less than that, I think.
Yeah, the second game of the series, I think, took somewhere around the realm of 5 minutes even. It was like 4 turns before Forsen gave up.
No, it was like 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually timed a Hunter versus Druid game with Amaz the other day, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be like a 5-minute game, And I was just kind of ballparking it, but I was like, no way it's 5 minutes. We timed it. It was like 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Fair enough. He goes for the fireball on the Dr. Boom. He just really doesn't want to die. And wow, with this Ancient of Lore draw,
Yeah.
I think he kind of closes the game out at this
Right.
moment.
Let's see his Flame Strike.
Oh!
Oh, he doesn't have enough mana though. I thought he would have 9 mana. The Flame
So
Strike doesn't help too much.
if you don't Flame Strike,
You die. So you Flame Strike here.
yes.
And I think, do you think Forsen was too reliant upon the Tempo Mage, or should he have switched out, or was that his best chance against the lineup, you think?
Well, to be fair, like if you lose 3 games against 3 different decks in the Conquest format, you're probably going to lose this match anyway. Right?
Gotcha, because you couldn't win anyways.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, oftentimes in the Conquest format, this does happen, and it's just like your decision to bring this deck wasn't the right one.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like RDU did get some convincing games with his Tempo Mage, so
Right. It's interesting because I feel like the Tempo Mage isn't this bad. It's not. This is not a representative or appropriate representation of what this deck can do.
yeah.
Or maybe it is, and we're finally seeing like the inconsistency of it. I'm not sure, but either way, like it's just not going to be a really good. Like no matter what Forsen does here, he's going to need a lot of top decks back to back to really stabilize.
Yeah. Maybe Tempo Mage is just one of those decks
Oh,
that is really
Deathwing.
surprising.
Unstable Portal can save him.
What else? What else besides Deathwing?
Ragnar's?
Matter Bomber.
All right.
Let's play it. Come on.
I think Forsen's realizing like this is what it's come down to, and I'm pretty sure Matter Bomb's gonna hit 6 times in Forsen's face.
All right. Let's see it. Let's see it. Come on, Forsen. Do it for the fans.
So he's gonna attack into one of the trees and with the mad scientist.
No. Why would you do that? Just let RNG do its thing.
No, he's gonna kill his own mad. He has a higher chance of killing his own board than he does.
That's true. But it's more fun for the viewers if he just lets it go.
It is true. Above everything else, Forsen's an entertainer. That doesn't really matter.
Oh, yeah, Forsen, you can do it. Oh, good. Ouch. Ouch.
All right.
Okay, that was like pretty
Actually,
good.
the mad scientist was unscathed.
You have little faith.
Yep. And that mirror entity still is a little annoying if your opponent plays a Sludge Belcher. No, there it is. Good game. Dog will go 3-0 versus Forsen. That Matter Bomber didn't really do anything, but it still won over our hearts.
I mean, what are you talking about? It killed an Ancient of Lore. That is something. It prevented lethal if there was in the top deck.
It also, actually it didn't really matter if it did 2 damage to the face, right? He still had hero power. That is it for the series. Dog advances 3-0, gets top 4. He's going to play RDU. One of those players is going to the finals. 2 players. You know, I'm actually pretty happy for Dog here. I really like to see him succeed. I always compare him to Savitz, but, you know, in America, I think it's time for him to have some really good results. And he's going to advance over into that left side of the bracket. Let's go ahead and take a look at it as we evaluate what's been on the other side of the bracket, too. We have Tide Time versus Show coming up, as well as Trump versus Lothar.
Yeah, like you said, Trump versus Lothar. If either of those players wins, it's going to be a pretty good result for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to Tides versus Show as well, because Tides brought one really interesting deck yesterday, the Giants Mage.
So, Dog is bringing Druid Mage Hunter, by the way. RDU is also playing Druid Mage Hunter. So maybe these guys have something in common. Or they figured out something that lineup is probably the winning formula.
Yeah, it might be that RDU would practice with Forsen as well, because they actually brought the same exact lineup of Tempo Mage, Druid, and Face Hunter.
And what's interestingly enough is, you know, on the other side, Show and Tides and all of them are bringing Warrior.
Yeah,
Except for Lothar. Lothar's not bringing Warrior.
Yeah.
But Trump, Show, and Tides all brought Warrior. That's pretty cool.
They are known for always bringing Warrior. Like, Trump is known for Warrior. Yeah, so we're going to shoot it off to the break right now. And it might be a slightly longer one because...
yeah, that series ended really quick, guys. Yeah. So we're going to make sure to get Trump and Lothar, let them know that the series is coming up, guys, because I think they thought they had more time.